and for matters, the whole matters, state of the nation and all that. Remember, the question of the day that we're asking you is the president's intervention in online media really necessary? And quite interesting feedback from you. Remember, 22047 is our SMS number, at TV47 Kenya on Facebook, and at TV47 News on X, and at Nyerungita _ Limuki_F at Fred Indimuli. Now on Facebook, real quick, Moses Mutai says not necessary. Still Brown says, of course, yes, I voted for him, and as one of them, my vote has now counted. Teddy Wasso says, if he does not, why is he then president? The president is not against anyone, but against manners and rogue content that goes against human values. Leonard Juma, very necessary. Wakenya usipowekewa limits, we can go overboard. Pinchos Njogu says yes, and Austin Mutanyi says yes, very much necessary. Washira John, of course, adverts zitaisha kwa TikTok, okay? Alice Nicholas, yes, Kenya ni yake na UTA, okay, I definitely don't know what that means. Griffith Situma has a different opinion here. He says, Wala would have done it. Ngaga Matara, of course, yes. Gibson Nyamuya, mkona kazi huyo, okay. And Charlie John says, nope. That is on Facebook. Let me see if I can real quick get for Twitter, or previously X, is President's intervention in online media really necessary? That is what we are asking you. Let me see on Twitter here at at Oku says very, very necessary. And Philip M. Cloud says, well, he says, idle man, that one. Joshua Sang should be handling matters of communication. He's still fresh in office. And Paul Omai, very important, even though addicts will find other ways, but when a child, when he grows up, he will remember and change. But this conversation actually goes on, because even this conversation that Flora Limuki will be having this particular hour, discussing all these particular matters, living by social media rules. Whichever kind of social media platform you're in, do you really live to those social media rules? Flora, back to you.
Well, thank you, Stanley. And of course, at this point, we have that conversation concerning social media. Of course, even with all the advantages it comes with, there's a lot that has been happening in the recent future. The pressure is getting really on social media. People are living beyond their means and also being inspired by the so-called celebrities. But how then can we make social media be a safe place, even when the time you spend on social media? How then do you ensure that this doesn't even affect you mentally? And to have that conversation this morning, I am joined by a counseling psychologist, that is Daniel Kariuki. Welcome to TV47.
Thank you.
First time here?
Thank you. Yeah, the first time here.
Great, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. What about you?
I'm very well.
Yes.
Okay, even as Stanley was reading that feedback, it's concerning TikTok.
Yes.
And maybe that's we can start there. It's the whole conversation
Yes.
of banning TikTok.
Yes.
Again, even as we talk about living by social media rules and the social media pressure, even as the things that have led to that decision to ban TikTok, it's a discussion that is ongoing. But of course, when someone posts, you also want to showcase something.
Yeah.
What is really happening to our generation?
Okay. Thank you, Flora, for the question. I want to first appreciate the fact that we are in a digital era, and we are privy to what is happening in our world, because it's not a Kenyan affair only.
Yes.
And before we even address the issue of the negatives, we also need first to address the positives of what social media has brought upon us.
Yes.
Because we are no longer in the Stone Age era. Right now, if you stay without your phone for just 10 minutes, you feel like something you've missed on something.
Oh, yes.
Because that's the era we are in. So, and we cannot just ignore the fact that social media has come, or the mobile technology and the advanced technology has brought in a lot of improvement. So on the flip side, there is also the negative about it. And right now we are having a talk about what TikTok is doing. And one bad thing that we have noticed in our country is that there is no capping. And there is no discipline. And I believe that that's where now we have to come in. And that's now where the president is now even coming in to bring the discussion about even meeting the CEO of TikTok to talk about the moderation of what content is supposed to be distributed.
Yes.
If you look at what is circulating on our media, the social media platforms, starting from the TikTok, look at Facebook, look at something like Twitter, look at something like all Instagram, all these social networking platforms that are familiar with us. There's so much hype about life, and possibly we will still talk about maybe the positives and the negatives of it. But as we are looking into the negatives, we also need to be careful not to totally diminish the value of social media.
Yes.
So, but the greater challenge that we have that has led to the discussion about the disbandment of TikTok is the negative publicity that is bringing on people, the young generation.
Yes.
People are living by social media. It's called the life of faking till you make it. And what is posted on social media affecting people even mentally, because people want to idolize whatever is being captured on media, forgetting the fact that I've dressed well because I'm coming to the studio. But out there, and what people will see is they will see somebody who looks neat. But what is my real life about? So there's the masking. There's so much masking that is coming into our social space, and it's changing a lot of people's perspectives. The value of hard work has been diminished because people are looking at the life of just getting into TikTok and doing the videos and becoming rich overnight. But what is the process to hard work, to the success that comes with hard work? Living large is also idolized on social media, and I think we are all aware about that. So when we are talking about the discussion about social media, we are going to generalize or look at in a very general way the positives of it and the negatives of it. Yes.
Great. And so many people nowadays, the young teenagers that we have, for example, like right now they are on holidays.
Yes.
They're spending most of, like 80% of their time they spend on social media.
Yes.
How then do these kids are able to differentiate between the reality and perception that is being portrayed on social media?
I take it back to the parenting styles. That I believe how I grew up and how I'm bringing up my children in totally different setups. I'll give my child who is 5 years a mobile phone. Yet I bought my first mobile phone when I was in my mid-20s, right? Because how I was brought up, I was given some kind of restrictions. And what we are lacking right now as parents is the value addition to our children to teach them what is right. I have children, I'm a parent. Where my kids go to school, my firstborn is in grade 7. And she usually tells me, Dad, I'm the only one without a phone in our class. And then I ask her, why do you need the phone? And then she's like, for entertainment. And I'm like, you have the tablet in the house, there is TV, yeah? When I'm home, you can utilize my phone. So what I cannot allow you to is to have the mobile phone or the tablet unmonitored. That is one thing that we are doing. We are allowing our children to have the general access of these tablets, these gadgets, without being monitored. And so they get to a place whereby, you see, it's all about trying to seek an identity. And in trying to seek this identity, I will do what my friend does. But do I know the value? No, I do not know the value because nobody taught me the value of the mobile phone. If you look at the children that, the small kids that we have, Because I think basically like every child in high school now has a mobile phone, whether the parents can afford or not. That person can even go for those small vibaruas over the holiday to just be able to generate an income for them to buy themselves a mobile phone so that they can catch up with the society. But the question you need to ask yourself is, after you've already acquired the mobile phone, who is monitoring what you are watching? And what is the value that you are adding to yourself other than, I own a mobile phone? There is no other aspect. Because we are supposed to have the mobile phones or the gadgets on purposes, maybe educational purposes. Look at the time when we were doing a lot of online, when the schools closed due to COVID. That is the time we introduced the online learning. So we want to think that every child was supposed to be introduced to a gadget because the training was supposed to be conducted online. But then now, when we do not have the direction of how to utilize the gadgets, when we do not have a capping by, like if I'm a parent, how do I want to limit the usage of the phone by my children? Am I able to monitor what they watch? That is one thing that is lacking. So in answering to your question, I'll say there is a lot of hype about owning the gadget because you don't want to be left behind by the belief that the world is revolving very fast and you want to know what is happening in the US right now because you just want to check on WhatsApp. If something happens right now in the US, within minutes, even before we are done with the interview, you'll already have gotten some communication. So it's good in a way because if it is for communication purposes, then that is right. Then number two, if it's for education purposes, then that's right. If we are to limit on the usage on why do I need to have the gadgets? But now our kids, do they have such? Where are our parents in terms of monitoring the usage? So you'll find kids posting vulgar videos. You'll see parents who are supposed to be role models opening accounts. Not even, it's actually not even just TikTok. You'll see people posting nudity on Facebook. You'll see the same on TikTok. So you wonder, what are these people advocating for? So the younger generation would also want not to be left behind. So what they see is, it's about what you call the man can see, man can do business. Yeah? So I want to do what Flora is doing because she looks good on set. And I want to idolize her. And I have a platform to do that. So what will I do? I have a gadget, I have the internet. Right now we are looking at these hotspots that are being created all over. You'll find people in town all over, everybody is typing. And they're utilizing the free hotspots. So what comes out of that moment is uncontrollable. Yes.
And even as we talk of the influence that parents do have on their kids, parents nowadays, most of them, the young ones, you see them posting very uncouth kind of pictures or even videos on social media, mostly these so-called celebrities that people are looking up to. And you have your child who has a phone, who has a gadget and has access to your account and can see whatever you're posting. So how then doesn't this child post nudity or exposing pictures of themselves?
I still go back to the parenting style that each parent adopts to bring up their children. And what we want to appreciate is the fact that what works for me doesn't work for the other person. And so if I'm strict on my parenting style, it does not necessarily mean that every other parent is strict. So I would think not everybody has done the security setup for the children that they're using, because I think we are also adopting a very busy lifestyle as parents, whereby I leave very early in the morning. I leave my children at home, and whatever they do during the day is up to them to manage themselves. So if these children will be able to post or possibly to record however vulgar the videos will be, the parent does not have the control on what they post, because very few of them have created that buffer whereby this is the much you can go, or this is the least you can control. Because at some point, and allow me to use a practical example of a parent who once came to me seeking therapy. And She was talking about addiction, social media addiction, whereby she wakes up in the morning and spends the better part of her day at home. She has a business and she's employed someone, but she spends the better part of her day in the house posting videos about herself.
And not marketing the business.
Exactly. And that is actually what is happening right now. If you look at the content that is being marketed, it's not about, fine, there are some aspects about business, because we'll talk about social media towards promoting business, towards promoting community, towards promoting mental health. But in this sense, somebody comes and tells you, I'm addicted to social media and I find myself wasting the better part of my day posting videos about myself. Mark you, this lady has a daughter who is in Form 2, and she also has a gadget. So what they do is they have kind of created a bond whereby they do the videos together. Mm-hmm. And at one point I was interested and I asked her, let me have a look at what you have been posting. And I was shocked what I saw. And I'm like, okay, fine. I don't want to get personal here, but I want to ask you a very direct question. You are a parent who is supposed to give guidance and direction to your child. And remember what we said, children learn behavior through observation and what we call modeling. So this child will observe what the mother is doing. And what does she do? She would want to model that, because according to her, she believes that my mom cannot go overboard. My mom cannot mess. My mom cannot do nasty things. So however nasty things look, the child has the belief that the mother is in control. So you'll see the things, I saw the things that they had posted and I was like, okay. So this you're doing with your daughter. And I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, we have a lot of likes. And I'm like, okay, fine. So what I had to ask her this question, what is the motivation behind this? And now it went back now to the what everybody now wants to go through about fame, about being able to get, they're called likes, right? Mm-hmm. To get as many likes as possible.
Yes.
And I asked her, does it have any financial gain? And she told me, I have not hit the target yet. So according to her, she's living with the belief that the more she posts, the more likes she gets, the more followership she gets, she'll get to a place whereby now she'll start earning out of it. So how many people are misdirecting their children on the same? How many parents are taking time to teach their children about the advantages and the disadvantages of social media? I would tell you, Flora, possibly out of 100 parents, maybe 10 or 20 are doing that. We are too busy and we don't even care about what our children are posting. We don't care about what our children are watching. I've had sessions whereby you ask parents about the kind of content that their children watch on TV, and the parents who are like, they just watch cartoon. And I'm like, okay, fine. What kind of cartoons do they watch? Are you careful enough to understand the kind of content that is being spread by the cartoons? Because if you look at, go back to your phone and look at the emojis that are there. You'll even see two ladies with a child. So that means that is the LGBT is now even in our in our phones.
Two men with a child.
Two men with a child. You'll see that. So you'll also see the kind of setup that those emojis are displaying. Those are the actual real scenarios that we are dealing with every day. And these are the things that the children will be exposed to. So imagine in the conversations that they do have with their friends, at times it's also important for those parents to even go back and pick that phone and ask yourself, let me see what my friends have been communicating, my child has been communicating with their friends. And you'll be so shocked to find that they have been doing a lot of sign, you think about sign language, the one that we usually see, the ones you usually have an interpreter on set every time. Mm-hmm. It's not the one that you're talking about. We are talking about the language, the coding that they use. Yeah? And it's only knowledge, they have the knowledge. I don't know whether they go to school or it's taught. I don't know where they learn it. I think they learn it among themselves in school, in the various groupings that they do. And then you realize there is a lot of hidden information that these children possess. And you can only be able to pick it if you're a friend to your child.
Yes.
Still narrows back to the parenting style. Are you a friend to your child? What kind of a parent are you? Are you the kind of parent who is, you usually call them the do as you wish kind of parents, whereby as long as you are here by by 8 p.m. I don't care what you are doing during the day. As long as when I call you to come, when I call you and you don't take 2 minutes before you reach where I am, it's not a problem. So kids have now learned to keep the rules that are pleasing to the parents. But that parent does not have an idea what's behind, what's happening behind the scenes.
You mentioned something very interesting about social media addiction.
Yes.
Just talk to me how long should one spend on social media, and at what point do you realize you're not addicted to social media?
Okay, thank you. It's a good question, and people usually ask me the same question even when I've had moments to counsel people against addiction of social media. When you realize that your normal activities are being affected, when you cannot keep off from your phone. And I usually look at times when I would go to some restaurants, and possibly you just look at how people, possibly a family walks in, or maybe 2 people, a lady and a guy walks in, and possibly they want to have dinner. And before the meal is presented to them, everyone is busy on their phone. So you're asking yourself, where did the social interaction time go to? So that's a sign. Number 2, during dinner time, maybe in homes and in families, where are the phones when people are supposed to be talking or possibly presenting the issues about because everybody has something to talk about. And I wonder, how did we survive before the phones came? It's all about discipline. So I would answer by saying this. Depending on what you are doing, because there's somebody who might have a challenge of spending 1 hour in a day, or maybe 15 minutes in a day on social media, because possibly their business is tied to the social media, or maybe whichever platform they might be marketing there. You can see there are people who are doing their marketing on WhatsApp. Those WhatsApp business.
Yes.
There are people who are marketing their businesses on Twitter. There are people who do a lot of marketing on Instagram, and is bringing a lot of returns. Yes. There are also some people who are doing a lot of things on TikTok, much as we are talking about the negative side of it. So if somebody is on social media for business purposes, you may not be able to limit them. But you see, there is also the element of business where business ends. Because if I'm working in an office and I'm working from 8 to 5, then I shouldn't be thinking about carrying work home. It's either I finish my work while in the office and carry something little, maybe to finish when at home, because when I'm at home, I'm supposed to be resting. So if you are doing business on social media, you need to be at a space whereby you say, if I'm not just doing the normal updates, then there are moments I need to be resting. If you're not doing anything related to business, then this is where the danger is, because you'll find somebody waking up before the alarm rings. Maybe you have set your alarm at 5 a.m., but then when you lose sleep at 3 a.m., you go back to your phone. And then is
that addiction?
Yes, that's addiction. Do you find yourself there?
Oh, yes.
So you'll find, you lose sleep, and then you immediately go to your phone. So what do? You go straight to TikTok.
Yes.
One video attracts the other. So instead of you covering yourself possibly to try and gather the sleep, what you'll do is that you realize that 5 p.m. still finds you awake, 5 a.m. still finds you awake, because you have been so enticed by the videos that you're watching. And then you ask yourself at the end of the 2 hours, I was supposed to wake up at 5. The alarm is now ringing. The phone is actually on your hand when it's ringing. I'm looking at you and I'm... Then you ask yourself, what have I done with the 2 hours? It was supposed to be rest time. So that is something that you need to, one needs, I don't know to point it towards you, but that's something that someone needs to be careful about.
Yes.
And what happens is that the continuous usage of mobile phones to source for sleep, those many days before the phones came, we were usually told that if you want to sleep very fast, just try reading while placing a book on. Try to read when you are sleeping, when you're facing upwards. And actually, I think it used to work wonders. I used to see my dad would just try read a newspaper. He just seated on the couch, and then the next few minutes he's covering himself with the newspaper, and he'll be like, oh, it worked wonders. So he used to do that. But right now, the process of watching an enticing video does not put your mind to rest. Because if you're reading involves an activity. because you have to first think of what have I read, internalize it and be able to understand. So you might read 2 pages and then you feel like, oh, my mind is becoming tired. So imagine now watching a video that is enticing you and you are like, it's looking funny. So you can do that the whole day. And
let's even come back to that whole conversation on social media addiction. Yes. Need to take a break and think about my social media time. But let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. With a psychologist here to just find how then you're talking about social media addiction even before we left. So how do you detach from your phone and being on social media? Because okay, personally, like for me, I need to stay updated to update people. So how do I avoid that?
Your case might be different from quite a number of people because you are in the media. So possibly you might want to keep yourself in the know on what is happening globally because you might need to utilize it here.
Yes.
But your case is one selected case. The majority of the ones that we are talking about are people who have an addiction that doesn't that does not create any meaningful value. It's because they just want to feel that, yes, I know what is happening in the world, but what do I need to know more about the US? What do I need to know more about something that's happening in Australia?
Yes.
What do I need to create? What benefit am I getting from something that I watch from TikTok? Mm-hmm. So how to detach? That is a question you've asked.
Yes.
One, a very high sense of discipline. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about discipline, you're talking about one, creating a routine about your life. Because if you have a routine about your life, yes, then you will be working towards a routine on a daily basis, whereby you can be looking at the aspect of telling yourself mm-hmm. that assume you wake up at 5 a.m. Mm-hmm. Between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Yes.
I want to have something constructive that I have done. Mm. It can be walking, possibly maybe create a routine, maybe something that is going to help you in terms of your physique. You are creating a healthy routine. Mm. I can be the people who commit to praying. Maybe commit yourself to doing prayer during that particular time.
Yes.
Somebody can decide to do something like reading. Maybe somebody can choose, okay, fine, this is the time I want to be on social media. But remember, the time you wake up is the time your brain is most active, right? So before you now allow your mind to be clogged by the activities of the day, imagine starting the day by using the most active hour of your day being on social media. It means that you have denied yourself an opportunity. If you are working, if you are in business, how do I need to structure my day? In terms of, I wake up in the morning and I am on TikTok until 5 a.m. From 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. Fine. Do you have the discipline to disconnect immediately after 5 a.m.? You'll tell yourself, I'll disconnect at 5. Then let me shock you. You'll find yourself still on the phone at 7 a.m. because there is no discipline and there is no routine. Then number 2, when you create that routine, you'll be able to structure your day in the right way and also structure your mind that when it gets to this time, I'm supposed to be doing something different. Those people in school, because somebody may bring the argument of someone who is in school and possibly right now they're on holiday. So does it mean that if we did not have mobile phones, then people would not be existing? People would. And because we do not want to kill the space or the thought that there is something that someone can do other than being on the internet or being on social media. Because if you ask yourself, how do people in the remote area survive, whereby there is no network? There are places like, there are some deep places I've been to, places like the Uko Turkana Ndani, whereby even if you have a mobile phone, you have to pick very specific areas whereby because you cannot wake up at 6 a.m. to go look for network a kilometer away.
Sure.
It doesn't make sense. So if those people can survive, it's all about the discipline of how do I structure my life. What is happening here is that there is a availability of the distraction. So let's learn to kill the distraction by being constructive. So somebody can read, somebody can go to the gym, somebody can you can even utilize the same mobile phone to do the morning routines, maybe like gymming and instead of now just sitting idle and watch. And then the other thing we also need to understand is that how a routine usually starts through, should I call it, it's kind of a test. So I'll take my phone and watch something enticing for 20 minutes. And then I feel good about it the whole day. So what will happen? Tomorrow I'll want to spend more time. So possibly I'll find myself spending another 40 minutes on the same day. Then the other time, because I'll be like, I have a meeting at 8, but I've woken up at 5. Is it really necessary I leave the house at 7? I think I can leave at 7:30, and then I'll drive within the next 30 minutes. So what will happen is that the most constructive time is usually diminished by the things that are not, I wouldn't say that they do not have a purpose, but is the purpose defining your life? I would say no. So it's all about discipline. It's all about creating routines. It's all about understanding, because you also have to ask yourself a few questions. Why am I on social media? If I'm posting something on social media, because we usually remind people that if you are on social media, especially when you are doing the content, possibly for those people who are content creators and those who are watching the content, you have to ask yourself the question of why. Okay? You also have to ask the question of when. As in, why am I watching? And when will I watch? And the other question is a what. What am I gaining out of it? So you'll find people watching just for the sake of passing time. So they end up realizing that I've had people having issues to do with insomnia. Insomnia is total lack of sleep. And what it's been generated by the fact that I have tuned my mind that I cannot sleep without watching something. So I've already tuned my mind that I'll have to watch something until maybe 1 a.m. And then from then, I will force myself to sleep. Why can't you try to force yourself asleep at 11? But because you have created the routine in your mind and you have already taught your mind that you cannot sleep until that time, it's all about keeping the gadgets away. You can set a routine and say, if it gets to 10 p.m., I'll set my gadgets away. And if you have that urge to take that gadget and have a watch on what is happening, it's all about telling yourself, I'm working towards something. Yes.
Yeah, because I think it's all about discipline, but sometimes it can be really hard because sometimes you tell yourself, I'm sleeping at 8. Yes, you will. and actually you won't die because of sleeping at 8 p.m. But the moment you make a mistake of looking at that phone at around 8:30 or 9 p.m.,
You end
I'm
up
telling
sleeping
you,
at midnight.
you'll sleep at midnight. Yes. But also, even it brings the whole issue of mental health and mental wellness.
Yes.
When it comes to social media. Has social media in any way led to the increase in cases of mental health, and can social media actually depress you?
Thank you. That's a deep question. Yes, in a very big way. Because assume, and allow me to just rephrase what I had said earlier, somebody will look at you from how you present yourself on social media. These people do not know the kind of life that you lead. But you have created a platform and you have created a presence on social media that you are living large, you're doing well. Just yesterday I was having a conversation with someone, and he told me that he's been struggling with feelings of stagnation. And I went back and I actually wanted to dig deeper and get to understand, where are you feeling like this? And we had a deep talk or a deep chat. And then eventually he just produced his phone and showed me something and was like, look at this guy. Yeah, the other day he had flaunted CG, he was driving this kind of car. Yeah, today he's posted another model of vehicle. I don't know whether this guy owns these vehicles or whether he hires them. And I was like, boss, what is affecting you is what you have seen someone post. And I thought, how many people have even committed suicide because they feel that their life is not progressing because of what is being posted by their friends? So in a very big way, the mental aspect has been affected by what you see. Because you see, how feelings occur or how you end up doing something, the action, is out about the view or the thought. Actually, it starts with the view. What have you seen? So if I look at this flower vase, what do I think about this flower vase? And whatever I see, I internalize it in my mind. So what I internalize in my mind commands my thoughts. So I can either get a negative feel about it or create a positive feel about it. I look at this glass of water and something out of it, even just have a look at it, I'll be able to read something. I may not be able to speak it out, but I'll get affected by my thoughts. And the action that I do after that will be as a result of what I internalized in my mind. This is what we are seeing every day on social media. People posting flashiness, people posting greatness. You're looking at young boys who have just come from high school. They start posting flashy lifestyles. Then somebody somewhere who possibly has not even managed to go to college starts imagining that I have not gotten to a space whereby I can even earn my own money. Yet somebody here is posting on social media that they're even driving. Because talk about boys and cars. Yeah? Talk about girls and clothes. Mm-hmm. Somebody looks at something posted by maybe a former college mate, maybe primary school classmate, high school classmate, and then they think back in their minds, they are like, I have not achieved success because according to so and so, they seem to be doing so well. So even being able to appreciate the small steps that they are making, wherever they are, is diminished by the fact that somebody is posting greatness, whereas you are struggling with a lot of things. So the mental health aspect comes in here, that you will be affected, you will get stressed. So it can even get you to the level of depression, whereby you want to accelerate the pace at which you are growing, or at the rate at which you are progressing your career. But other people are exhibiting greatness more than you. So it will lead you to a place of feeling discomfort, a place of feeling insufficient, and it will possibly make you start looking at your life as a failure. So in many cases, when you look at the effects of social media, depression actually comes in as among it's listed among the top things or the top effects that are brought about by the social media impact. And maybe to answer to that and possibly maybe give an encouragement to people is that there's something we call contentment. And being content with what you have is actually a gift. I usually say that. And when somebody is able to pick where they are and be able to appreciate the small steps that they are making, then the pressures about life, about performance, about the achievements will no longer affect you, because you appreciate your own efforts, you appreciate your own steps that you're making, and at the end of the day, you'll be able to look at your life from the perspective of, I have come this far, and there are no limits to someone's life, irrespective of where they are. And let those who are posting on social media continue posting. There are those who are making money out of it. But the majority of those who get into depression is not because they have not been able to generate money out of it. It's because of the element of what they are seeing against where they are. Yes.
Yeah, and I think it's time people just accept that what people post, actually, most of them, it's not even true. Because you'll find someone even traveled to Dubai last year and they kept those pictures. Now they're posting them this year, and you're there all depressed and all sad because you seem like your life is not moving or it's not as fancy. So I think it's also a personal initiative as well. And some other trend we've been seeing is people, they want to showcase their babies on social media. When people are expectant, you're showing us your baby bump. When, like, you want to give us every other snippet of your life. But then when it comes to trolling, you don't realize that you actually led to people, you gave people too much.
Exactly.
That they now have something to do against you.
True.
Is it really necessary to showcase maybe even your children on social media?
I would actually go back to an earlier statement that I had said about the purpose. Because you have to ask yourself the three W's, the when, why, and what. So when this now comes in and somebody is using social media to market themselves, or possibly to talk about everything that happens about themselves. Somebody goes for lunch and they post what they're eating. Somebody goes for dinner and they post how they are dressed for dinner and what they are eating. Who are you communicating to? Because I think that is a personal achievement, right? So when somebody goes out and starts posting that they are having a baby bump and possibly they are having those baby showers, and they will post where their baby showers are happening, I think it's more about a personal initiative, about a feel-good moment, whereby I usually look at most of these things and I usually say that there is a fulfillment that this person wants to achieve, and possibly it's all about the element of esteem, because there are people who do not know how to live their lives privately. I think that it was sometimes on Tuesday or Wednesday, I spoke to someone and she told me that I have finally bought the car that I had all along dreamt for. Sasa watanijua. So I'm like, okay, fine.
Were you buying for the people?
Exactly.
For yourself?
Who ni nani watakujua? Because now you are talking about, you have finally found something to make them now look at you in a different angle.
Yes.
So there's the element of feelings of insufficiency on this person, and I want to be forgiven for saying that. I know there are quite a number of people who are watching that, and possibly they would feel maybe I've gone a bit personal. And I say I seem to disagree with the element of posting everything, because when you're posting things on social media, you are not limited to who will
have access to them.
to have access to your items.
Yes.
You're on social media yourself. Yeah?
Yes.
You do not know who are your followers. You're a media personality. You might have thousands of followers. Assume you keep posting everything about your life. Where is your privacy? Where is your secrecy? Where is your serenity in terms of this? You do not know who is following. I usually look at my Facebook. I'm very active on Facebook because of what I'm doing. And I usually look at the people who are seeking the friend requests. And I'm like, do I accept, do I not? Because you do not know who you are exposing yourself to. And so now, imagine I'm in studio right now and I post. I'm in studio. I live here, and as I'm driving out, I take a photo. I was leaving the studio and I just post it on. Then I get out and just get into Java here. And then I post the breakfast I'm going to take.
Okay.
Then after that, I'm heading to a meeting in town. Then I post the meeting that I'm doing. So who am I posting for? Is it because I want to notify people about my progress? Or is it there is an element of insufficiency and you are trying to build your esteem by showing people, look, I've made it. That is the belief that I usually have. And it's usually important for people to filter what they are sharing out, because you do not know the impact. And actually, there's a lady who once came to me and she was really bitter because she lost her job because of background check on her social media. Yeah, those background checks. She actually lost the job. She had actually passed the interview. She got shortlisted, and then when they were doing the background check, they actually noticed too much information that was very negative about what she was posting. And she was now like, Daniel, this is the reason I've come for counseling. And I was like, okay, fine. What did you want to achieve out of it? So when I see ladies posting those photos about the what do you call them, the baby showers, among the people that follow you, or possibly among the people that you have in your friends, in your friend lists, possibly there is somebody who is struggling without a child. What does that person feel? Are you communicating to them that I finally have made it? Or when you have those baby showers that are usually done in those posh estates, and you hear somebody say that I spent 5 million to host my baby shower, then there is somebody who is struggling, cannot even afford to pay for the maternity fees. They have to rely on NHIF and the Linda Mama, whatever the program. Yes. They do not have a coin to spare. And then they are your followers. What do those people think about it? So all my thinking is about there need to be limitation on what people share. Yes. Because it's not about the other person that you are posting to. It's about myself. So if I feel like I want to post out, I was in studio today, I'll share with the people that I feel are relevant. Just let it end it there. Mm-hmm. Yes, that's my thinking. Yeah,
maybe talk to me about now the positives of being on social media. Or before we get there, there's the whole issue of harassment, cyberbullying, yes, trolling. You know, some of these celebrities, you just put yourself out there, and even these upcoming content creators, and you are prone to a lot of cyberbullying, yes, from people. Yeah. How does that affect people mentally from a psychologist point of view? And how can people deal with that?
Okay, thank you. As you have said, cyberbullying is actually a very big, among the other things that are negative on social media is about cyberbullying, because we said we are going to look at the positives and the negatives. But cyberbullying has led people even to committing suicide because of the negative things that are usually said about them. And you'll see somebody post something that, according to them, maybe, actually some of those things that you usually see, maybe you'll see somebody post something about themselves, maybe that baby showers we are talking about. And then you'll find the kind of feedback that you get.
Crazy.
It's just crazy. And then if it was supposed to make you feel good, now that is the time now you realize that they are, you know, in Kenya, we are not in Kenya alone, all over the world. There are people who thrive on negativity. I usually say that there are people who just have something negative to say, even when the input is not even needed. They'll find something negative. They'll come and look at you and they'll be like, there's something negative about you. So the negative aspect that dominates cyberbullying is what actually affects people. Because somebody will give you a negative sentiment, and possibly you have not developed shock absorbers to undertake the kind of negatives that will come to you. So it will lead you into a place of stress. And when you talk about stress, when it gets to a place of stress moving or degenerating into unchecked stress, you'll end up getting into a place of depression, and possibly you'll hear people talking about committing even suicide. So what we usually say about cyberbullying is that it's an evil that cannot be contained, because unlike in Kenya, unlike other places in the world, Kenya, especially Kenya, is unchecked, whereby somebody can just cyberbully you and they go scot-free. But if somebody can be able to follow up on the cases, especially when somebody has been attacked personally, the DCI nowadays are doing a lot of work towards maintaining and containing the the madness on social media. It's always good to report. And the only fear comes in when somebody has multiple accounts and using different names. Maybe the one who is cyberbullying you has multiple accounts and possibly their identity. Because in many instances, you'll also find people who do a lot of cyberbullying have what we call pseudo accounts.
Yeah, and they're faceless.
And they're exactly.
Yes.
So you may not be able to exactly trace who they are. But it's always good to always report. And then number two, we go back to what we were talking about, being careful on what you post. Because if you just post something that is educational, something that is supposed to just talk sense to people, chances of being cyberbullied or being called negative names are very low. But if you post something that is very personal, then there is a high possibility that it's someone is not happy about you, so they'll not keep silent. They'll tell you something that will hurt you to the core. Something that is not educational, something that is not helping anyone. It's all about yourself. So what I usually remind people is that minimize what you post. You also minimize the chances of being bullied. Look at what you are sharing. Look at the audience that you have. Number two, be very careful on who you allow into your social space. If you are a celebrity and you want to grow what we call the viewership or the listenership, you are also very careful on the kind of people that you allow, because you don't just go into your page and you see likes, the people who just want to, you just accept without asking yourself, who am I allowing into my social space? So that way you try to limit the interaction with people that you do not know and people who might bring a lot of negatives on your life. So it's all about discipline, Flora. We still go back to the same. It's all about discipline. It's all about being able to identify what you want into the media space or into the social media space, and being able to be content with, even if I don't post, even if I live a simple life, simple solitude life, I do not have anything I'm losing. Yes.
Great. And even as we conclude, how then can people make social media useful? And even as we make it useful, how do we make that space a little bit more toxic and friendly to people to engage? Yeah.
We usually talk about psychoeducation, but now the other question we also keep asking ourselves, who are we educating? Because the same people that you're educating are the ones who will still insult you that what are you teaching us on social media.
True.
But I think there's great need for us to sensitize people about the usage of social media, which has been neglected in a very big way. I talk to my children about usage of social media. I don't know how many other parents talk to their children about the same. I talk to my friends about usage of social media, and I'm very careful on trying to give the positive side of it. And when you're talking about the positives of it, there's so much positive that the social media has brought. Because one, there's communication. Number two, there is the element of education. I don't leave that behind because I've been doing an online course. I'm actually doing my master's online. So the university I'm taking from is not in Kenya. So when I'm doing that, I cannot disregard the value of social media, because at times you'll get your assignment sent on WhatsApp and you'll be able to. So there's that positive aspect of it. There's also the element of growth in terms of being able to look at what maybe those people who usually do a lot of reading maybe online. You get to grow your mind. You get to understand what the other world is going through, what is found in other areas, maybe doing comparisons. There's also the other element of, I don't want to bring the element of the word of conformity, but there's the element of what we call learning through checks and balances, whereby we usually use something called like a personality test, whereby you can be able to extract search from places of social media, and you'll be able to, others are even online, whereby, I don't know whether you've ever seen people who post things on Facebook about the kind of person they are. Maybe they did a test on themselves and possibly it comes out 100% of they are. So those are some of the areas that we look at, and they are good in terms of learning, in terms of giving you a platform, possibly. Assume you are like what you're doing. It's a good place whereby it has given you a good platform whereby people from all over the world can be able now to follow you up. And possibly there is also the other element of being able to generate an income out of it, those people who are generating an income.
Yes.
On the bad side is that people have lost or killed what we call social interaction time, because where people used to meet and talk,
Yes.
they no longer talk. You find people seated in a meeting and everybody is on their phone.
Yes.
So there are many
It's,
negatives. It's only that I think we have not delved so deep into it. But it has both the positive and the negative. So, but what we want now to utilize more is what positive thing we can do
Use on social media.
Yes.
Thank you so much for those insightful words. And of course, even as we keep on, because social media, you can't really ignore it, but make sure you're using it for the right purpose, as well as remember, people just post highlights of their lives on social media, so don't get duped by whatever is